Recap of the Corruption of Dreams, Arc 1, Grasp of Time. Our story began with Neferia Alexi and ORD-15, or Ordis for short, arriving at the Dragon's Ember Bar and Inn, where everyone else was residing. Jack Krampus Handsome, Eldon Seeley, and Shisivan Ilvenwood decided to start a bar fight with a few members of the Hippogriff's Blossom and the Traders of Lander Guild. With the help of Adam Gurr, the bouncer, and Mieg Fruski, the dancer, Demetra Chloris, the owner, rounded up the roughhousers and learned from Odlar the Strong of the Hippogriff's Blossom that the reason they were fighting was because of the tension growing between the four guilds throughout Ardnaska. He suggested joining one of the guilds before the war started. Demetra asked around the bar to see if anyone wanted to join her on her way to the grand capital of Zarethkisted. And that is how the party was formed. As the party left the port city of Mavor for Anish, they shared their backstories and talked about their homes. When they arrived in Anish 1 week later, they tried to get Adam laid. Yes, and where better than at a lesbian bar? Mieg used his super amazing makeup skills to make Adam look female. He was then introduced to a beautiful elf named Alasia. After barely managing to seduce her, they went upstairs behind closed doors. And before Adam could even react, Alasia unsheathed a hidden dagger that had been poisoned and stabbed him in the shoulder. As the party tried to break into the room, Adam threw her into a wall and cracked her skull. After receiving information about an abnormally large goblin force amassing in the south, Mieg snapped her neck. Continuing on to Alathine, they recovered from the scare and arrived a week and a half later. After seeking information about the High Elven Council, they arrived at the chamber. The party learned of 3 previous guild wars and how each resulted in a continent-wide catastrophe. Adam wanted to know if there was any information about his almost extinct race. He said his gnome parents told him that his tribe was slowly destroyed by multiple races of elves. However, the High Elven Council informed him that his race was obliterated by demons and devils that appeared to have come from the Tower of Lander. Neferia also learned more about the crest of heroes she had on her. After the party left to investigate the nearby lake, they encountered an unlikely ally, the ancient bronze dragon, Takaya, queen of the elves. After a brilliant display of her raw, terrifying power, and after consuming a sacrifice, she told the party about the ill-fated omens of the increasing volcanic activity inside of Mount Untervisk, and that the Horn of Silda could be used to summon her when the time came. The party continued their travels, leading them through the Tejoptfe Desert and into the Trichka ruins, once inhabited by the dwarves of Ardnaska. From there, they took one of the many paths underneath Mount Untervisk. After passing through the deserted dwarven capital of Undervisk and finding the largest quiche known to exist, they traveled for weeks in the dark tunnels until they reached the surface of New Haven. They headed north towards Silda. In order to reach their destination, they needed to venture through the Whispering Forest, where they discovered a secret from Neferia's past. She planted each one of those trees by connecting a soul of a creature or person she had killed to a seed that she would then plant, only adding to the vastness of the forest. They reached Silda and gained access to the tomb of the four heroes, where the world tree was grown on top of, its canopy covering the whole city in a radiant green glow from the sun passing through the leaves. They unlocked the door of Neferia by using the crest of heroes she had as the key. As they entered, they walked between the legs of one of the giant statues of the four great heroes, each one guarding an entrance of the tree. Jack ran to the middle and grabbed the horn, and glued it to his head. They soon left Sealda, and traveled back through the Whispering Forest, on their way to the grand capital of Zerethkisted. When they arrived, they conversed with the four guild leaders to see where the leaders stood with their ideals, and the party chose sides. Demetra, Neferia, Adam, and Mieg joined the fallen Vunda Tolkien, the Commoners Guild, and Jack, Eldon, and Shisivan joined the Traders of Lander. Almost as soon as they chose what guild they would join, the bells and horns started blaring, and the troops started moving towards the plains of Ustaigun, where the guild war would commence. Many soldiers lost their lives on the battlefield, on all sides as the war raged on. Isgan the Giant, leader of the Hippogriffs, Blossom, and the leader of the Traders of Lander rushed towards the middle to fight out their differences and prove that one was stronger over the other. Unfortunately, the dark, cloaked leader of the Traders of Lander was soon found out to be Rob, some of the party members' old friend. As Eldon went to help Rob beat Isgand, Neferia and Mieg began chasing down Jack and the horn. When Neferia was finally able to detach it from Jack's head, she blew through the horn to summon Takaya. But as soon as the horn was sounded, Mount Untervisk's top half exploded off into the air, and an ancient red dragon by the name of Odungosk erupted into the sky and swooped down onto the battlefield to assist Rob and his demon and undead army. When Takaya finally managed to join the fight, she went after Odungosk and was soon outmatched by his overwhelming strength, given to him by the volcano and Rob's immense power. Just as Odungosk was about to finish off the last bit of life left in Takaya, Demetra fired a round from her homeland rifle. Ordis attached himself to the barrel, managing to supercharge the laser blast. So much so that the blast shattered a hole through Odungosk's skull, exploding the brain inside. Rob floated gracefully off of his back and disappeared almost into thin air, with whatever forces remained under his control, leaving behind Eldon, Jack, and Jesivan to deal with whatever awaited them in the next arc.